WXII 12 News. This is breaking news.
This afternoon, as a strong storm system pushes through the Piedmont and through the Carolinas right now, and we want to update you. There's a lot of watches and severe thunderstorm warnings, but at the moment we also have a tornado warning that has been issued, and this is for Rockingham and Stokes and into Patrick County, Virginia as well. So we're looking at this area right in here from areas of Stoneville and Greensboro area, back up to the north over portions of Rockingham County, Reedsville, and into portions of southern Virginia and Patrick County. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Sandy Ridge, moving northeast at 55 with some flying debris. Dangerous to those that are caught out in shelter. Mobile homes and could be damaged, so damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles could occur. Tree damage is likely. Locations impacted as we go through the time with this storm system that it moves through the area will be Martinsville, Stoneville, Danbury, into areas of Spencer, Axton, Sandy Ridge, and Bassett, Virginia. This includes areas of the Martinsville Speedway and the Martinsville Airport too. So this is something that we'll watch as we go through time. It's in this area right here where you see this portion from just north of Danbury over northwestern parts of Rockingham County, just north of Mayodan. Also into southern parts, they'll have to watch for this over areas of Patrick County, south of Martinsville at the moment, down around 220. So Ayersville, Preston, Dillard, all of these areas that are in areas to Stokes County, coming out of there and moving off to the north and to the east. It's moving northeast very quickly. This cell is moving at about 55 miles per hour, and it's something that'll have to be watched as we go on in through this afternoon because it's got some strong winds with it. A lot of us picking up a lot of activity out there, but it's this area right now of concern over Stokes County, mainly northeastern Stokes County, into portions of Rockingham County, and where you see this line in here where we could see some more activity and some high winds that will come out of that. Again, it's a tornado warning. It's in effect until 2:30 today from the National Weather Service, and we'll watch this. It's capable of producing a tornado, again moving off to the northeast at about 55 miles per hour. These storms have been very intense throughout the region today. We've seen some high winds from them already. Most of those have been straight line winds across the region today, but now we're starting to see a little bit more in the way of some spin in the atmosphere. And again, that's mainly over portions of extreme eastern parts of Stokes County, moving into northwestern parts of Rockingham County, and that tornado warning in effect until 2:30. You'll also want to watch out for this over southern parts of Patrick County, Virginia, in and around the Martinsville Speedway and the Martinsville Airport too. So if you're in and around Price, also in and around Amestown, Ayersville, up into just across the state line here in North Carolina, Stoneville needs to watch out for this as well, especially if you're in a mobile home. This is the time that you need to be taking shelter and trying to get to the lowest level of your home, or if you're into a basement, wherever that lowest level is in the interior of your home right now, away from windows and away from the exterior walls of your house or your place of work as well. So remember that. Again, and I want to keep reminding you as more people join us here, tornado warning is in effect until 2:30, and that includes Rockingham, Stokes, and Patrick County. And this is the cell we're looking at right here, and I'm looking at areas in and around the town of Dillard, up through portions of Mayodan, Danbury, Sandy Ridge, and Bassett. All of these cities or communities will be considered in there. Also right here along Highway 770 up into 220, we'll have to watch out for this. The Martinsville Speedway and the Martinsville Airport, Spencer, Axton, all of these towns need to be aware of this as we go on in through the rest of this afternoon, at least until 2:30, until this dies out. We've seen a good bit of rain across the region today, and it continues to be the case. Some very heavy rain. Some of you picked up anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of rainfall across the Piedmont today. And I'll put this into action again here, the radar for you, so you can kind of see the movement a lot of these storms have had today. They've really just come into the Piedmont at the right hour. We've watched these over the past couple of days. The models kind of depict how these might come through as we go through this afternoon, and they've have fared out pretty well. Where we thought we'd see some high winds out of these storms, the chance for tornadic activity has been kind of questionable up until now, but now we see that, and you can see this line that's coming through portions of the Piedmont even as we speak, over portions of Rockingham, Stokes, and Patrick County. There are also some tornado threats, of course. We have tornado watch in effect for a good portion of the area until 9 o'clock for Guilford, Randolph, and Alamance County. So we're going to have to keep an eye on the radar as this line pushes on off to the east a little bit further. And then severe thunderstorm warnings, we have those in effect across areas of Stokes, Rockingham, eastern areas of Forsyth County, western areas of Guilford County, Davidson County, and down into Montgomery County too. So these are some areas that we're going to have to continue to watch as we go through the next little while. But it's that line that you see from Martinsville down into areas of Davidson County that's going to be kind of under the gun as we go on into the next hour or so until about 2:30 this afternoon. Here are some of the lines, and you see this line right here. We'll just kind of follow it from north to south, just now pushing into just south of Martinsville. So if you're into the Price area, right here along Highway 220, that's something to watch for. Amistown, it's moving through your area now. So if you're into Price, into Stoneville, now's the time to go ahead and take some shelter, get to the lowest floor of your house, and also stay away from the exterior walls of your home or your business. Go down to the lowest floor too. Mayodan in the line of this storm, as well as is Ellisboro. And even if there's no tornadic activity at the moment in some of these areas, there's going to be some very high winds. And these winds have been in order of 60 to even 80 miles per hour across the area today. Some very big rains down over portions of Kernersville now. This whole line moving through northern parts of Davidson County into Midway. But at the moment, our main crux and the main thing we really want to pay attention to is right up here into areas of Rockingham, Stokes, and Patrick County. That's a severe thunderstorm that has the capability of producing a tornado in and around the Sandy Ridge area, and it's all moving off to the northeast at about 55 miles per hour. Now that's the movement of the storm, and you tax in the winds with that, with the storm. So we've got some pretty high winds out there at this hour too. So we'll have to watch for that. So Price, Highway 220, Rockingham, Stokes, and Patrick County, that tornado warning in effect until 2:30. And my colleague Michelle Kennedy's here too. Michelle, what have you been looking at?
We were just talking about that area in Stokes County earlier.
We're going to get Michelle's mic. There we go.
There we go. We were just talking about that area earlier in Stokes County that I was saying there was a bit of spin, and that's the one to watch for, and then the tornado warning came up. So what we're seeing right now is
okay. Michelle, we're going to get your microphone hooked up here properly, but here in just a second. But we did want to say that, yeah, over portions of Stokes County, you're right, you were looking at that just before this warning went off a little while ago, over portions of Stokes County, where there was a possibility of seeing a little bit of spin in the atmosphere, which is bringing this storm along. This thing's moving really fast. I mean, when you watch this line, if you look up around the town of the community of Horse Pasture, down to Amistown, which is now on the backside of this line, it's moving really fast. Southern parts of Martinsville along Highway 57, 220 into Ridgeway, Price, Marrowbone Heights, in the northern areas of Rockingham County, Stoneville, and then some of these other roads that are in here that we can take a look at. Smith Road, over portions of Rockingham County, Victory Hill Church Road. All of y'all really need to be getting ready to go ahead and take shelter. It's probably, not a bad thing to go ahead and start taking shelter now and get into a safe place, Michelle.
That's right, and we have other alarms and alerts going off as we speak right now. Dave's going to check on that, but we've been watching this line, and as that line continued to really progress along that warm front, that low is kicking in right now, we have seen some little spin-ups, and they're hard to see in this rain-wrapped environment, but you can see that line here. This is what we've been worried about. This storm system is racing off to the north and east, and most of what we've seen today are more straight-line wind profiles, so that was a little bit less of an issue for us than it has been now, as we're starting to see some spin out there. Now we're looking at the Danbury area as we go north and east, as Dave was just talking about, along 220 and along areas toward Price. But we saw a little spin up here in Meadows as we look back at our storm debris. You can see over the last 30 minutes, you could just see that area, that blue dot. So we may have had some debris coming down in those sections of southeastern Stokes County. But that storm, as it continues to lift north and east, is going to push through. So Meadows, Dodgetown Road, these areas may already have experienced some wind damage from this tornado. possible tornado. So we're looking at right now the rest of the wind coming through. Just a messy situation out there for folks. We've got 70-mile-an-hour winds that have appeared at least at about 920 foot aloft as we're taking a look at our first warning radar scan, and we're looking at now down to 20. So this storm is moving off very quickly, but at times we've seen 70 to 50 miles an hour out there with those winds, and that doesn't take a whole lot to get a little spin. Even though these are lower base tornadoes, we can still see them produce some really strong, incredible tornadoes with this type of weather system we have today. So we are wanting you to take shelter if you're in a warned area, especially if you're under the tornado warning. A reminder too, we're under a tornado watch for most of the Piedmont Triad. That's going to continue through early evening. So tornado warning until 2:30. That includes Rockingham, Stokes, and Patrick counties, at least until 2:30. That might be adjusted here as we continue to look ahead. You're looking at Price right now. This line just in North Carolina, and as it jumps into southwestern areas of Patrick County and Henry counties, we're going to be watching for that spin possible with this heavy rain moving through. So we want you to seek shelter. We also want to watch down on that southern line. I want to take a closer look too. We're likely seeing some hail, some intense reflectivity values coming back, suggesting we have hail coming down for folks out in southern Davidson County. So I'm going to take a closer look at that while Dave looks again at some of the tornadic possibilities up to the north. Do we have a new alert also, Dave, at this hour?
Yeah, the severe thunderstorm warnings this afternoon, Michelle, there's been no shortage of them across the region. Here's a wide shot for you, and I'm going to kind of play with the radar as we go along here, so I don't mean to confuse you, but I do want to keep you updated. First of all, as we zoom in a little bit right here, as we get into portions of Patrick County, also into Stokes County and Rockingham County, want to let you know that a tornado warning remains in effect until 2:30 for northwestern Rockingham County, western Pennsylvania, Henry and southeast Patrick counties, and that includes Martinsville. This is a severe thunderstorm producing a tornado. It was located near Ayersville, and that was about 8 minutes ago, and now it's pushed on off just to the east of that. So near Spencer, it's moving at 55 miles per hour. So this cell that's in here is moving pretty good and moving pretty quick. And when you get something, a storm like that, just the storm cell moving at 55 miles per hour, that doesn't include the winds that are inside of it. So the winds may be blowing at 35 to 40 miles per hour. So you're looking at some really high winds here. And then you can kind of combine the spin that's in the atmosphere as well, and that'll give us some problems. So locations impacted here include Martinsville, Spencer, into Axton, Bassett, Ridgeway, Virginia. I'm thinking Marrowbone Heights, Martinsville, and the town of Martinsville in particular. Ridgeway, down along Highway, see that's 87 to 20, and then down into Price, and then over northern parts of Rockingham County. Price picking up some decent winds right now into areas of Craig Road, Price Road also. So we're continuing to watch all of this activity push on off to the northeast at about 55 miles per hour. That's a tornado warning that's in effect for those areas, and I can see how it's kind of pushed into mostly Patrick County at the moment with this storm system moving at 55. Think about yourself driving your car at 55 miles per hour. You're doing pretty good. So if you've got a storm system moving that fast and it doesn't have to stop for traffic and lights, it's going to move fairly quickly, and that's why it's moving now into portions of Rockingham County. So if you're in Martinsville, this is coming up really, really quick along Highway 58 right there. Kohler picking up some heavy rains and some high winds right now too. Fontaine, and again, if you know, in and around Highway 58 where 220 meets in Marrowbone Heights in Patrick County, that's a point to watch too, and into Ridgeway. But boy, these winds back out to the areas of northwest Rockingham County, quite impressive, into Parkway Road, Claybrook Road, Smith Road, getting ready to move right over portions of Rockingham County right now too. I'll tell you what, these are some pretty good winds they're in here. Severe thunderstorm warning. We've seen some hail size, looks like about a half to about 3/4 of an inch of hail in some of these areas is something that we'll have to watch as we go through this afternoon. That could cause some damage as well as we go on into this afternoon. So I don't want to discount everyone else that's in other portions of the Piedmont where you're picking up big storms. Stoneville now coming into the crux of this storm as it continues to push on off to the east and northeast at about 50 to 55 miles per hour. Also, Mayodan picking up some big rains, as is Madison. And I'm just kind of moving off to the south here where this line is pushing and continues to move on off to the east. Stokesdale, so northwest northwest Guilford County, Haw River Road, Oak Ridge, you're getting ready to pick up some heavy rains as well. But I do want to remind you that the tornado warning remains in effect until 2:30 for northwest Rockingham County. However, they're starting to get out of that area. It's starting to push out of Rockingham County, but continuing over areas of Pittsylvania, Henry, and also into northwest Rockingham County. So we'll watch this cell as it continues to move on off. Let me show you the big radar picture here and kind of show you the line that looks pretty decent. From Lexington up over portions of Winston-Salem, getting ready to move into High Point right now. These storms moving at about 50 to 55 miles per hour. Kernersville, Colfax, if you're out near the airport in Guilford County, Summerfield and Blues Creek, you're all going to pick up some high winds here before too long. Hopefully they won't be tornadic in nature, but it's something we'll have to watch for. And as far as I can tell, that tornado warning is still in effect for another 15 minutes or so. It's supposed to expire at 2:30. And also, as I zoom back out here to give you an idea, severe thunderstorm warning for Caswell, Rockingham, and Stokes County, again until 3:15. The tornado warning until 2:30, and then a severe thunderstorm warning until 3 o'clock, Davidson, Montgomery, and Randolph County. You see that line right there. You see it right here in the middle of your screen. From Mayodan, now moving into western Rockingham, western Guilford, into the Kernersville area along Highway 158. So you got to be careful driving out there too. You know, even if there's not a lot of spin in the atmosphere, if there's some high winds, you're in a high profile vehicle or you're on these roadways where the rain has really started to pond up and even flood in some areas, you've got to be really careful. You got to slow down. And my suggestion would be is to hang out where you are for a little while if you're at work or you're at home. And if you're into that area of Patrick County or Stokes County, Virginia, you're going to want to go ahead and take cover for a little while and take a look at this cell a little bit better. Again, Angelin Mill Road, just off to the west of Price. Ayersville starting to come out of this storm a little bit more. And then you get up into areas of horse pasture and then into Martinsville. They're getting ready to pick up this storm in just a little while. It's just slightly off to the east of there, and Ridgeway, Virginia, going to pick up some heavy rains too. Michelle's been updating some activity as well. Michelle, what you got?
All right, right now we do have new severe thunderstorm warnings down to the south. You may have mentioned this, Dave. Guilford County is included in this, Davidson County, and we're going to be watching too for this cell here that may continue for another 15 minutes or so for that tornado warning. We already have severe thunderstorm warnings. That tornado warning is now entering areas of Henry County, so beginning to exit our viewing area, affecting folks though toward the Martinsville area with possible rotation. We have seen that on some of our tornado debris signatures out there, or at least storm debris signatures, I should say, because some of this is going to pick up the straight line wind damage too that we are anticipating. You see from Mayodan through Price, this is the fiercest line of the storm where we may begin to see some rotation at the surface. So those rotating columns of air dropping down potentially there between Price and Martinsville. And Dave, if you have anything, feel free to interject, but I just wanted to show folks down to the south. We've got those hail concerns from areas just east of Winston-Salem, now exiting the Colfax area, heading toward the Greensboro, High Point, Thomasville. You are in that storm system right now with the strongest winds and heaviest hail. We also can see a possibility as we look at this line. You can see that storm debris signature. We're getting some straight line winds here from areas of Denton east, and so that eastern edge of Davidson County, now maybe even near the Thomasville area, likely seeing some trees coming down, and at least you know, some of those tree branches too and tree debris. And I heard a lot of sirens coming in even earlier today around the 1 o'clock hour. You could just hear you know, first responders out and about. So we do want to caution you to try and stay off the roads at this point. We've got high wind concerns still behind it. Flash flood warnings are in place too. And Dave, we're going to take a closer look and see if we've got any updates on that tornado warning up in Martinsville from you. And you can see the warnings, they're up with tornado watches still through the evening.
Yeah, that's right, Michelle. And yeah, I am looking here, and if you look in around Martinsville, you know, you try to keep up with these storms when they are moving this fast at 55 to 60 miles per hour. Things happen really quickly. For instance, I mentioned horse pasture about, I don't know, 10 minutes ago, and now it's already through there, at least the heaviest of those rains in and around Martinsville right now. So that tornado warning remains in effect until 2:30 for Henry County and the city of Martinsville. But back down to the south while you're picking up in Rockingham County, pushing into western Guilford County, also into areas around Thomasville. You're picking up some really heavy rain and some really high winds in there too. Some of the winds in excess of 50 to 55 miles per hour. And these are some severe thunderstorm warnings that are out there at this hour. And I can tell you right now, severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for Davidson, Guilford, and Randolph County. That's until 3 o'clock, so for another, 40 minutes or so. Those severe thunderstorms have a line from Kernersville to Thomasville, Lexington. These are moving to the northeast at about 45 miles per hour and have 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So, you talk about roofs and siding and trees. You can get a lot of damage out of these storms. So that's where a lot of these storms are in effect for right now. This line that you see from Reedsville, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, western portions of Randolph, Guilford, all of Rockingham County, and then eastern Forsyth down into Davidson County and a good portion of Montgomery County at this hour too. There are tornado watches out this afternoon as well. We have tornado watches in effect for all of the 12 viewing area from Davidson County and Forsyth County, and then points off to the east of that, and that includes Rockingham County too. Some of these over like the Forsyth and Davidson County, those may expire before 9 o'clock, but the rest of the area in that tornado watch until 9 o'clock a little bit later on tonight. Our tornado or our severe thunderstorm risk continues to be along this line. You can see here we're right on this level 1, level 2 chance for marginal to slight severe thunderstorm activity as we go on in through the rest of this evening, but the big storms could still be down to our east and southeast, the coastal plain, down into the Midlands of South Carolina as we go through time. Tornadic probability highest down to the south and east too. But we get into this area where you see it's this brown color here over Randolph and Guilford County. I know that only says 5%, but when you see those numbers come into play, those are really some pretty high numbers to show that there could be some rotation in the atmosphere as we go into the next little while or so. Damaging wind probability, I think we'll probably see some damage reports as we go on into the next few hours. We'll have to watch for that as this storm system continues to push on off to the east. It's really kind of hard to assess any damage out there while the storms are going on at the moment. And then wind threats, even without any tornadic activity or severe thunderstorms, the winds have been impressive today in excess of 35 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts, back out over the mountains in excess of 50 miles per hour. But you can see this wind advisory goes through later this evening into the early part of the overnight, and that includes Forsyth and Davidson County, Randolph, and also into Guilford County and all the points off to the east of that. Our flood threats that are out there right now, we still have flood advisories, some flood warnings in effect for areas of Yadkin County along the Yadkin River, Surrey County, back out to Wilkes County as well, and then the flood watches in effect for, just about everybody else, for Guilford, Randolph, Davidson County, and also into Forsyth County too. I'll take a look at the surface map here and give you an idea what's happening. You can see this warm front that continues to work its way off to the north, and we also have this storm system itself, the low pressure, and you get what's called, you see where that warm front, that purple occluded front, and the front down to the south of that, it's called a triple point. Can really provide some dangerous weather conditions a lot of times. So that will continue to push on off to the east, but it's everything out ahead of that we're kind of watching. Notice how things kind of die off a little bit when you go back out to our west. You don't have to go too far to see some of these rains and thunderstorms start to die off a little bit. Like if we go back towards Asheville, some of the northern mountains now starting to get out of some of this decent rain that we see. But this line that's over us right now, there's a secondary line that's not quite as intense, but it's got some heavy, moderate to heavy rains if you're into portions of Mount Airy. Yadkin County and Yadkinville too are along Highway 601, and Elkin, Rockford, down towards Courtney and Louisville, picking up some heavy rains right now. But it's this one big line that's going from areas of Virginia that continues to push on off to the south. And I'll kind of still up this loop so you don't have to see it moving all the time. Make you go crazy if you watch it long enough. But you look in and around Martinsville. Remember we were talking about Martinsville and how this storm was coming through there just not that long ago? It's already cleared that area. That big line has. That's how fast that storm's moving, at 55 to 60 miles per hour. But still into areas of Ridgeway right now, and they still have portions of that area into a tornado warning until 2:30, but it's all relegated over Virginia at the moment. When you get down into northern parts of Rockingham County, some big rains and some high winds here. Stoneville, Price Grange Road, Price. We don't have anything as far as any tornadic activity, but there are some. This is the same line that provided that tornado warning a little earlier over areas of Stokes and Patrick counties. We keep going down to the south here along Highway 311. You know, we're kind of hoping that this storm system, as I showed you on that radar picture here, we're hoping that this storm system will be at least the main line, and most of the rains will be out of here by the time we get into the early evening, maybe 6 o'clock, hopefully before that, because the whole line is another fast moving system. We've seen these systems come through up out of the desert southwest of the United States, and then it moves and dips its foot in the Gulf of Mexico really for the past 2 or 3 weekends, and this is another one of those systems. This has been the strongest of these, though, that has really pushed through. You know, we're in January, we're in the winter, but you can get severe weather just about any time of the year, and this is a case of that we see across the region right now. Some big rains over southern parts of Davidson County, moving in towards Denton. You see this rain, and we'll have to watch for some of that activity. I know Michelle's taking a look to see if there's any more spin in any of these storms that are out there as we follow on the radar. If you're into western Guilford County, Kernersville, and I'll still this up like I said so you can see a little better. It makes a little more sense. Oak Ridge just came out of a big area of rain, but it's still raining pretty good. You know, in this yellow area, when we look at the radar, those are still some moderate to really heavy rains and steady rain too. It just doesn't let up, really, to be honest with you. And sometimes the windshield wipers on the car just don't keep up. You might just have to pull over for a little while and take care of things. You'll watch this storm, even on this still radar map. You'll see these storms move because they're moving so fast, this line. Summerfield along Highway 220 going into northwest Guilford County, picking up some good rainfall and some high winds at this hour too. At 225 we're watching. And down into Muirfield. And then, so if you're into portions of the Hamilton Lakes area, Highland Park West, Greensboro proper, you're going to start to pick up this big line with some heavy rain and some very high winds in there where we could see winds in excess. And we do have a severe thunderstorm warning, by the way, that it continues until 3 o'clock for Davidson, Guilford, and Randolph counties. That severe thunderstorm is moving to the northeast at 45 miles per hour, 60 mile per hour wind gusts. So that'll give you some damage to roofs and siding. Trees could lose some limbs, or they could even fall. You know, we've had so much rain that the ground has gotten so wet really over the past couple of weeks with the continual weekly rains that we've had. But the rains that we've had just over the day today has been quite saturated out there, and just kind of these trees will just sit there. They can't take a lot of the rainfall that's in the ground, and then you add some force to that with some of the winds, and that's when you get some of these trees to topple over, especially when you've got 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. So Greensboro, High Point, Asheboro, Randleman, Thomasville, Archdale all have some big winds, 60 mile per hour winds, severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. Caswell, Rockingham, Stokes, Davidson, Guilford, and Randolph County, Michelle, those in effect till 3 and 3:15 this afternoon.
Yes, we've got such a busy day with flash flood warnings still up for parts of the foothills and for parts of the Piedmont Triad, including Davie County. Watching that line right now, we continue to watch for some of the rotation in these storms, and there may be some columns of air rotating as we see that line pushing through High Point and Greensboro. Right now, though, we want to talk with John Ryan, who is the North Carolina DOT Division Manager. John, what are you seeing out there? What kind of calls are coming in right now across the roadways in North Carolina?
Yes, ma'am. We're getting a variety of calls, mostly trees down across the road, as y'all been talking about. The soil's saturated and the wind's blowing, so some trees are coming down. And with that last line of thunderstorms and heavy rain, we're starting to get in some flooding calls. We've got at least one bridge closed in Stokes County on Gulf Road, and we are in the process of closing 89 in Stokes County due to not exactly sure all the details yet, but up there in the mountains, appears part of that roadway started moving.
And John, can you tell us a little bit more about some of the tree damage, any injuries coming in that you know of so far?
I am not aware of any at this point in time.
We're glad to hear that. We know we can get these quick spin-ups, though, where you've seen those trees come down. And flooding also, any concerns there for your region up in Stokes County?
Yes, obviously the small creeks up in the mountain up there get up pretty quick. and we're addressing those as they come in, going out and inspecting them, making sure everything's okay as the waters go down.
Well, we appreciate you so much taking time out to talk with us, and we will be checking back with you hopefully a little later this afternoon to find out more. We do want folks, though, to stay off the roads right now. We could see some tree debris coming down and causing wrecks as well. We've had trees fall on vehicles in previous storms, and so this can be a real serious concern. When I was just watching the storm system here from High Point through the Kirkman Crossroads area, and as it's heading toward Greensboro, I did see some rotating columns of air too. And so these are big concerns for us as we look through the afternoon. We may begin to see, you can see in the inside of the storm, we've got some columns of air that could potentially be a concern for us. Now, some of this is coming down in the straight line wind fashion, where you're going to have winds that could produce, like a weak tornado, 70-mile-an-hour or more winds, and it all comes down in one direction. Can do the same amount of damage, especially if a tree is falling on a house or vehicles that are in motion on the roadways. And the heavy rain of 2 to 5 inches estimated in spots around areas north into Stokes County. Noticing right now, though, this is a storm debris signature we're getting. So this is western Randolph County. This may be where we're having some of the strongest winds at the moment. And this is where we could be seeing some trees being carried off, or at least the debris and branches and things of that nature. Right now, we're going to be watching for those areas along that line of showers and thunderstorms. And it's because we've got that low, too, in place. And you see those temperatures out there that have been in the upper 50s to low 60s already. We've had that huge push of southerly air. We've got a low-level jet that is just screaming right overhead, and that has also produced a little bit more in the way of shear force and ability to get these storms rotating. So that's a concern for tornado watches that are going to continue. So that tornado warning continues for folks in Henry County, up in Martinsville, and as it moves north. Now, harder to see today on our radar as we are rain wrapped. We also have a tremendous amount of wind in the straight line variety. We're at 60 degrees right now in Pleasant Garden as we're looking at High Point at 60 degrees. We're watching that line that was out over western Davidson County now continue off to the north and east. And this is the area too that we're still seeing rotating columns of air that may potentially make it to the ground. So that's for folks up in Henry County. Lots of heavy rain too, pushing along 220 and moving north and east right now. We want to keep you off the roads if we can. We've got another warning coming in. We're going to be checking on that for you too. And you can see that hail signature too in that white area down along the southern line here as we get you into Davidson County. We want to check in with Kenny Beck too as he's getting reports in from the newsroom. Kenny, thanks for joining us today.
Sure, absolutely. Michelle, Dave, good to see you both. Want to let people know, obviously, we're on the air because of today's severe weather. Tornado warning remain in effect right now for Martinsville and Henry County, but this is a all-day event that we've been talking about for the last couple of days now. One thing I did want to make our viewers aware of, and also give our team of meteorologists here an opportunity to breathe, the power outages. These were a major concern leading into today, and now that the rain is here and now that we're in the middle of the main event, according to the North Carolina Department of Public Safety's main homepage, more than 105, almost 106,000 people statewide are currently in the dark. The vast majority of those are in Mecklenburg County right now, but Forsyth County is in the top 5. Almost 5,000 of those outages are being reported specifically in the Forsyth County area. No other Piedmont Triad County is terribly close to the top. Guilford about 2,700, Davidson about 2,500, Stokes about 1,700, closing in on 1,800 there. What's worth noting is these numbers can sometimes be a little bit delayed in terms of when they are reported and exactly how accurate they are. So it's unclear at this point if these are numbers that are on the way up or on the way down. I spoke with someone with Duke last night, Jeff Brooks, their key spokesperson, and he told me that one of the big challenges that today was going to pose in terms of getting electricity back on is this wind. People cannot go up in the bucket trucks and start to work on power lines, especially not replacing power lines that have fallen anytime the winds hit 30 miles an hour or more. So a lot of people who are in the dark right now might be in a situation where they may not have power for several more hours or perhaps even into tomorrow. This wind has to die down. Safety has to be the #1 priority for folks as they try to get the electricity back on. Many schools, of course, kept the kids home today. That was largely out of an abundance of caution, but the biggest concern that we heard repeated, particularly from the big ones, Guilford and Forsyth, the 2 largest in the Piedmont Triad, 2 of the largest in the state, was the fact that they would be concerned concerns over if they lost electricity. You don't want to be in a situation where you've got a bunch of kids in the dark and winds howling. And just a reminder for folks, in the event of a tornado warning, we are hardly toward the finish line of this. We hope we're getting closer and closer by the hour, but we're not out of the woods by any stretch. If you do hear your neighborhood, your town, your city mentioned as being part of a tornado warning, here is what you do. You go to a basement or a safe room in your home. You want to get as low as you possibly can. If you do not have a basement, get inside a bathroom, a closet, or wherever the lowest floor might be in your home. Number one thing, try to stay away from windows because you don't want glass bursting, breaking, and then coming inside of you, flying at your face, at your family in dangerous shards. And silly as it sounds and silly as you might feel, if you are truly nervous about what may happen, it's not a terrible idea to put on a helmet or wrap a pillow around your head. This may be the difference between potentially suffering a serious injury and making it out okay as far as that is concerned. As we take a look now at the live satellite and radar, Dave, Michelle, colors all over the place. Can you give us, Dave, an idea of where this thing is headed next and when, in terms of timing, time of day, that we might be able to take a deep breath and start to assess and hopefully come to the conclusion that, okay, we made it out of here unscathed?
Right. Well, you know, I'll ask for Michelle's help on that too. But, you know, it's this line that we've been watching, as you can see here on the radar with me, extending from areas of Sandy Level back up over Southside Virginia into Reedsville and into center parts of Rockingham County, and now getting ready to approach Greensboro proper, moving through High Point. When this line gets through here, that's the most intense of the storm, of this line of storms. There's plenty of heavy rain and wind behind this. But this is really the intense part that we'll watch. And also, I think, too, right here into areas of Gordontown, Michelle, there's some decent rains in there, some heavy rains. This is getting ready to move into areas of western Randolph County. Just north of Denton, some heavy rains in there. And just let me say this too, that the tornado warning that was over Virginia has been allowed to expire, so we have no tornado warnings on the maps at the moment. I will tell you that there are a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings that are out there. You can see this line. Remember the line that was on the radar? Look how this lines up right there with some of those storms that are out there. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect for northern Alamance County, Guilford County until 3:15. And these are moving at about 45 miles per hour, wind gusts of 60 miles per hour. Severe thunderstorm warnings also in effect until 3 o'clock for eastern Forsyth, northeastern Davidson County, western Guilford County. But these things are moving so quick. I tell you, Kenny, you know, we see these storms moving and the damage to roofs and siding. When you take the speed of the storm moving off to the northeast at about 45 miles per hour, and then you tack in some 40, 45 mile per hour, 50 mile per hour wind gusts, you team those up. Those are some decent winds, and they'll do some damage, and they'll pull up some tree roots, and they will cause some problems on some roofs and some power lines as well. So I'm thinking that, you know, when you folks in the newsroom start to look at it, you'll probably see a lot of electrical activity that will probably be an issue from the Duke Power folks and all the other folks that provide power around here. Tornado watch is also in effect. We'll keep an eye out for this as we go into later this evening until 9 o'clock for Guilford, Randolph County, back out in Forsyth and Davidson County. That may come to an end a little bit earlier, but we'll show you the radar again here too. And I don't want to discount the flooding that's out there. Lots of rain. This rain's coming down really heavy in spots, as you know. The good news is, and Kenny, you asked this a second ago, when are we going to see the majority of this get out of here? The line itself and the time that we'll really start to see these rains die off will be a little bit late this afternoon, and we'll watch the timing on it. But I would hope by 6 o'clock, most of this activity should be to our east. We'll have to watch for that. But that line of heavy storms is what we're watching, and severe thunderstorm warnings in effect with this line that goes from areas of Martinsville down in through Rockingham County, Reedsville, Guilford County, portions of Greensboro down towards High Point, and then back out into western reaches of Randolph County and parts of southern Davidson County. That's the line we're going to want to watch as we go through that time frame, Kenny and Michelle. So we'll see how it goes. There are plenty of severe thunderstorm warnings, no tornado warnings as we go through this hour. These are some of the flooding issues that are out there right now too, because this is always a problem. You know, when we see people, you know, one of the biggest things that really gets people and causes a lot of fatalities in the United States, more so than any type of severe weather, is flooding. And we have plenty of that across the area today, with some flood warnings in effect along the North Carolina, Virginia counties, the Yadkin River along the Surrey and Yadkin County line, and then flood watches out for everyone else. So if you live in a place that's prone to flooding, if you haven't seen it by now, you may be seeing it here in just a little while, Michelle.
Yeah, that's right. You know, in fact, we have more flash flood warnings that have just been issued or added onto for areas like Rockingham County, Caswell County as well, now included in this. I've been watching this line very carefully. We know it's moving to the north and east very rapidly, as you've mentioned. We've got some hail in this storm. We've also had some straight line wind signatures on this. So we'll have to see what we have in terms of damage, as you mentioned, after the storm, as it's just too dangerous to go out and take a look at things right now. Wanted to show you in our 3D storm wind motion and speed relative to the radar position, which is right now where we're looking out from Raleigh. You can see that we do have these columns of air that are rotating. The question is, will they make it to the ground? So we do know that we still have this very unstable environment aloft, and so we're going to be monitoring this storm very carefully. And I am concerned about this line in here between High Point and Greensboro. We have seen a little bit of sneaky wind rotation in there. We've got lots of lightning too. This is intensifying potentially the heavy rain at the surface. So those are the areas and the kinds of things that we're looking at right now. Even though we have so much to look at, those are the ones that we're really especially concerned about, and down to the south and the southern Piedmont where the heavy rain continues. But you get these other strong storm cells too to the north and east that we're monitoring as well. I want to talk about that storm report, your 12-hour storm report in Henry County. The 911 center reporting that a tree was down blocking the entire road near the intersection of Appalachian Drive and Kohler Road in Martinsville. This is in the Villa Heights region. So that says non-thunderstorm wind related, and that came in at 220 as we were talking about the threat for tornadoes. So that one non-thunderstorm related. Those gusts were already coming up 30 to between 30 and 50 miles an hour in some spots earlier. Now we've got reports too in South Van Buren Road in Yadkinville, flooded road and closed there. You can see if we could take that down, we'll see more for you, and I'll move that screen around for you as well. And you can see that we've got concerns up in Yadkin County too. We continue to look at this threat for folks there. South Van Buren Road, this is flooded and closed. We also have other spots around Yadkin County. As you went, we're some of the first ones to go under that flash flood warning in the foothills region. Center Road flooded in at least 2 locations. So this is in the western part of Yadkin County between I-77 and US 501. So a lot of roads closed due to flooding there near the city of Boonville as well. So just wanted to make sure you're aware of exactly what we're seeing come in and how this is playing out. The rest of the afternoon, we are expecting to see more trees come down. We also have flooding. This is up in the Stone, near the Ferry Stone State Park near Dyer Street. This is up in the Henry County area. So travel at this hour is really not a great idea. I want to show you the low-level jet stream wind speeds too. These are what we're talking about, just screaming through. Just aloft a few thousand feet, we've got wind speeds in the 100, almost 115 mile an hour range there. And you can see now we're starting to see them drop down. So we'll be looking at 60 to 80 mile an hour winds just aloft. That's going to help us out. That means our intensity of the severe weather should begin to lessen, at least right now. Now we have some help upper levels beyond this, higher up in the storms too, but we are watching for the debris signatures as some of the signatures that we have seen today so far. A possibility here as we look at that wind debris in eastern Stokes County and possibly Henry County from earlier. Meadows was one of those areas that we looked at more closely in eastern Stokes County too. So we'll keep you posted as we get more information in. Some of that gate-to-gate shear is starting to drop off as they've seen that line pass through to the north and east. But the heavy rain and then more rain building back in will now be the second issue. So we could still get some trees coming down. I don't want folks to think that just because some of the severe weather may be passing you in areas like Danbury, right now you're getting a little bit of a break, but those gusts are still up. The winds are going to be an issue even through the day tomorrow. So any of the soil conditions that have created those very unstable spots for some of the smaller trees, those could come down and still cause damage to cars and folks driving this afternoon. So we do want you to stay off the roads. You can see how the rain is beginning to fill in in now over Yadkin County, where you already have the flash flood warning. So this is on 601, 77, and 421 heading out toward Winston-Salem right now. So we anticipate more flash flood warnings to be issued, and we've got the heaviest of the rain impacting folks with hail. And I'm going to take a closer look, Dave, right now at northern Randolph County, because I want to see if we've got some rotation within this storm. We know we have hail there, that signature there in the white showing us that at the moment. We've got lots of possibilities here. The stronger storm system that we're looking at right now is definitely sitting in that southern spot of Guilford, northeastern Randolph.
Yeah, I see that, and that line is back at the end of that line that's been kind of strengthening a little bit across that area. Michelle, you're right about that. And in fact, a severe thunderstorm warning does remain in effect until 3 o'clock, so another 15-16 minutes for western Guilford County. And of course, that includes the High Point area with the storms moving to the northeast at about 50 miles per hour, and the winds in these storms, in these cells, moving at about, the winds are coming out at about 60 miles per hour. So these are the damaging type winds you would see: roofs, trees, limbs, power lines, siding on houses. If there's any hail in some of these storms, and we've seen a little bit, anywhere from a ½ inch, maybe even up to a 3/4 of an inch across the area. But Michelle is going to she's looking at this area that's just south of I-85 here in Guilford County, just off to the west of Level Cross, see if there's anything in there. It looks like there's probably some decent winds pushing this storm out of northwest Randolph County. Again, it's not tornadic in nature, but boy, it's got some big winds in it. In fact, the severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect also until 3 o'clock for eastern Forsyth, northeast Davidson, and western Guilford. And again, Michelle, these have winds of about 60 miles per hour, getting ready to push into Pleasant Garden and Level Cross.
Yeah, in fact, I'm taking a 3D look at this on this side of the storm. You can see where we've got those rotating columns of air. This is not a great setup for us. We might be seeing some of this wind try and reach the ground right now. We do not have any tornado warnings, but we are anticipating at least straight line wind damage from this storm. And I know we've just got another warning that has come through. We'll be checking that. But from Newmarket through Central Falls, these areas, especially out through Pleasant Garden, I am concerned for, the winds right now, because that does seem to be some of the strongest part of the storm. Meantime, by the way, up in the mountains, we're still sitting with some snow from earlier. We did not expect to see as much in the way of the rain and the severe weather there, but we have seen, of course, the strong showers and thunderstorms. If we can go back to max 3 and take a closer look, or max 1 rather, and take a look at that shower action, we're going to be looking at the winds within this thunderstorm, of course, and continuing to watch for the possibility not only from areas of Greensboro, but down through High Point and Asheboro now. And you can see a better line of this, the storm wind direction, showing you how things are really bowing out to the east there and moving through Asheboro area, Newmarket. Those are the folks that really want to pay attention to the storm right now. And you do have some warnings in place at this hour. I'm going to try and take a closer look at the warnings that are in effect for you right now, so that we can get a good handle on it.
Here's one right now. This is the one that you just mentioned. As you were looking right in that area just a second ago, where you were looking over southern parts of Guilford County and over parts of Randolph County, severe thunderstorm was located in those areas, and severe thunderstorm warning until 3:15 now. And that's a line extending from near Greensboro to Randleman and 6 miles northeast of Baden Lake. And then all of this is moving off to the northeast, moving at 70 miles per hour with 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So again, these are some damaging winds that are in these storms. You don't have to have spinning in the atmosphere. You don't have to have a tornado cause damage. Straight line winds like this will cause just as many problems. Siding and trees uprooted. Power lines could be down in some of these areas. Our news folks are checking on all that for you. But if you live in the Asheboro, Randleman, Level Cross, down in the North Carolina Zoo, Siler City, Seagrove, Pleasant Garden, Liberty, Ramsor, Franklinville, and Staley, you're going to pick up some thunderstorm winds in excess of 60 to 70 mile per hour over just a little while. So Guilford County, here's Greensboro, down into Pleasant Garden, very high winds. Again, no tornadic activity at the moment. And then you get into northern parts of Randolph County, down along Highway 73 towards Newmarket, and Level Cross starting to pick up some heavy rains right along the Guilford and Randolph County line. Kenny, you got anything you want to share with us at the moment? Are you okay?
Yeah, we do have some video, Dave, that came into the newsroom not long ago, and they'll toss that up when they can. I just wanted to reiterate something I heard you say and something I heard Michelle say as well. My ride in, I was extraordinarily impressed at how quickly a lot of roads are already ponding, and not just side streets that don't drain well. I mean, 40 had some slow and go on it because there's just so much water and frankly not enough culverts and places for that water to go. Now, thankfully, we are seeing a little bit of a let up as we move west to east. So eventually we'll be able to drip dry in those places. But one thing that Jeff Brooks with Duke Energy did remind me last night when we talk about these winds and all the rain that we've gotten, the rain didn't start today. I mean, this round started today, but let's not forget about all of the precipitation that we got over the weekend. So the root system, the ground, is already squishy going into today. So it may not take a whole heck of a lot in the wind department to bring some trees down. We've already seen it. We've seen ponding in a lot of shopping centers, particularly lower lying areas that are in almost like bowl type setups where the water just cannot drain quickly enough, and a lot of times these drains are plugged up with debris, and when there's wind, the debris tends to fly everywhere. So we've got a combination of factors working against us as far as that is concerned. So just because the rain has stopped wherever you might be living, particularly if you're on a highway or a side street, if the speed limit says 45, you may not be able to go 45 because it may go from full speed to almost dead stop if people are driving through some flash flooding situations, and that can cause real major problems very, very quickly. You don't want to be on the tail end of this and then end up dealing with a fender bender or something like that, or something worse if the water gets high. Let me refresh the power outage page here. We were talking earlier. Yeah, this is as I feared. Outages are still going up. We are still climbing the mountain. We're not getting on the other side of this just yet. I think when we spoke last, we were closing in on about 100,000. We're now at 113,000 statewide. This is according to the North Carolina Department of Public Safety service outage map. About more than half of those, 60,000 in Mecklenburg County. Forsyth County, the third most of anywhere in the state, almost 8,000 outages at this point. Scrolling down a little bit, there we go. You can take a live look at what I'm looking at right now. You go down a little bit, Guilford County at about 2,800, Davidson County about 2,300, Stokes County about 1,900. So Mecklenburg County, the big winner in that department as far as the outages are concerned. I did see UNC Charlotte just tweet moments ago that the tornado warning that had been in effect around their campus and around there had expired, so that's good news, and I believe most students are still home for the winter break at that point. Let's go now over to meteorologist Michelle Kennedy with a look at this first warning radar network and kind of a look ahead to the next maybe hour or so. Michelle,
right.
Again, a good reminder, no tornado warnings right now, but that doesn't mean another one might not pop any minute, right?
That's right. We've got severe thunderstorm warnings, though, up for parts of the triad. And I do want to focus on where we're seeing all of that lightning. That's where storms are beginning to intensify. And we've been watching the winds here. We know we have some rotating columns of air. The question is, will they make it to the ground with these particular storm cells? Now, sometimes they're going to come out in the form of straight line winds, and that is what our profile is looking like at the moment. But between Pleasant Garden to areas here just north of there and south toward areas of Newmarket, we've got 53-mile-an-hour gusts in southern Guilford County, about 46-mile-an-hour gusts. And now this is looking up a little bit of a loft, but at the surface also we can expect to see the strongest winds in these zones. So that's what we've got in place right now with these storms. We're beginning to see some intensification here from Greensboro through Reidsville. So what that typically tells us is that we're beginning to see heavier rainfall at least. Now that can also lead to some more unstable air rotating columns that could produce some of the wind damage we've been talking about. But straight line wind damage, we expect to see a lot of trees coming down from this. We'll let you know as we get those reports in, but anticipating several more storm cells to bring in heavy downpours. So even if we don't get the thunderstorms going in every location, it's going to be those rounds of heavy rain that are going to continue to bring us a severe threat in the form of flash flooding and even small trees coming down from just sustained winds that remain high. We talked about the flash flooding and the trees down up in Henry County as they were under that tornado warning earlier. And now Yadkinville, we've already had South Van Buren Road flooded out. We had Center Road flooded flooded at least 2 locations reported. And that's in the western section of the county, getting close to I-77. So those are areas that we really want to watch for. And, you know, we talked about that low-level wind speed aloft, and that's what's helping to produce these intense storms here at the surface. Of course, we've got surface features too, and we've got a little bit more energy even higher up than this. So we're talking about some intensity going on for you for the next several hours. Heavy rain, though, is really going to be the threat that we look at that may continue for us too. So we'll be watching for more wind signatures, or storm debris signatures we call them potentially, and we'll be watching from areas of Stokes County all the way now through southern sections of Guilford County. You can see where all those boxes are up. This is where we have severe thunderstorm warnings. That includes areas of Asheboro, Snow Camp, parts of western Alamance County, and you're still under tornado watches. That's going to continue until we see this line die down and make sure that we don't have other lines forming behind. This one here is going to give us a run for our money with heavy rain moving into Forsyth County soon. So along 421, 40, those are the areas that we'll look for intense rainfall moving through. You might have some thunderstorm gusts too, or even non-thunderstorm gusts that are just produced with this storm itself, anywhere from 30 to 40 miles an hour still ongoing. So watching that wind here, watching for that possibility that we could get some rotation going in that line. And here's where we have those weather alerts. The severe thunderstorm warnings stretch out from northern sections of Virginia, from Danville south through Reedsville. We take you down in western Alamance, so this includes parts of Snow Camp, western areas like Elon, and then we get you into Greensboro, sections there from McLeansville south through Asheboro, Newmarket included, Seagrove, and then back into eastern Davidson County. You're still under that warning area. Anywhere in red, that's where you're seeing the flash flood warnings. Those will remain up for several hours now until we see the rain showers finally wind down, but it's going to take a while. Heavy showers here. We were looking earlier for any tornadic signatures, and it looks like this line is moving off here, but right now we're going to watch down south from areas in Rockingham County, Guilford County, and then south into Randolph and Asheboro areas, because we are concerned that this line could still produce some intense winds, especially as it may begin to bow out a little bit as we talk about this as a squall line here, and producing some wind damage with it. And lots of heavy rain, and watching that intensification here. And I may throw it back over to Dave here in a second if he's ready.
Sure.
Because what I want to do is just look at those winds more carefully and do a little analysis, Dave.
Well, Michelle, you know, you and I have been around for a while now, and I can't recall the last time that I've seen a line of storms moving at 65 to 70 miles per hour across the area. So it's not unheard of, but it's certainly not common a lot of the times. These are some of the max wind gusts, and these were some of these were outside of some of these cells of these storms, where we saw winds outside of the storms, ahead of the storms, 40 to 45 miles per hour from Davidson County into Guilford County, and this was about 45 minutes ago. So the winds, when you get those storms going, can do a good bit of damage, and that's something we'll have to watch for. I think you'll probably hear Kenny and the gang talk more about damage reports a little bit later on today. Unfortunately, you can see where this area of low pressure is. It's down to our south. It's down over Georgia, and warm front has lifted up. That's why we've seen our temperatures come up a little bit more, upper 50s to close to 60. And you see the moisture that's in here too, but it's starting to push on off to the east a little bit more, if I might give us a little bit of hope as we go into a little bit later on this afternoon. You can see the back edge of this rain now pushing into western North Carolina, and 321 will be moving into the foothills of Morganton down towards Hickory in a little while. But our main focus of concern is the line of severe thunderstorms that right now go from areas of Southside Virginia, from Caswell, Rockingham, and Stokes County, where a severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until 3:15, and then south of there with a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Alamance, Guilford, and Randolph County. That also in effect until 3:15. So Asheboro, Randleman, a lot of these areas, these storms are moving so fast, they move through as soon as we see them, get ready to report on them. They've moved through there. Sedalia, so we're looking into eastern Guilford County, Mebane here before too long. Burlington, if you're there, watch out. Ashland up into Caswell County. Still a few more minutes before Yanceyville gets some really high winds, but the rain is steady out there. And Kenny mentioned it earlier, how there's ponding of water on the roadways, and it's really gotten to the point in some places it's more than just ponding. I mean, it is some flooding that's going on and causing some issues. Also, that wet ground that Kenny was talking about, and how these trees, these roots just can't handle it. We've had these series of rains over the past several weekends, which moistens up the ground a little bit more, but then when you add the wind to it on a day like today, it can cause some issues out there. McLeansville getting on the back side of this line. You see this bright red that's in here down to Pleasant Garden. And then in northern parts of Randolph County and towards Lineberry, Liberty, you're going to pick up some storms here in a little while. And then the flash flooding that's in place. Here's the severe storm threats that are out there right now, severe thunderstorm warnings. And you saw that long red line on the radar, and you see how this map kind of lines up with that from the areas of Danville down into Reedsville, western parts of Caswell County, Guilford, western parts of Alamance County, Randolph, now moving into Chatham County too. So this is the main line we're watching. There is still some more rain back out to the west of that we'll have to watch, but at the moment it hasn't provided a whole lot of threat as far as damaging winds, with the exception of some flooding rains that are out there at the moment. Tornado watch in for a good portion of the Piedmont Triad, at least Guilford and Randolph County until 9 o'clock a little bit later on this evening. And then the wind threats that are out there outside of these storms, as we go on into a little bit later on tonight, we have a wind advisory for the Piedmont, includes Forsyth, Guilford, Alamance County, and points south and east of there. Also into Davie County and Davidson County as well. And then a high wind warning for the mountains that we'll have to watch out for as we go on into the next little while too. Kenny, you've got anything for us over there?
Well, Dave, I'm continuing to keep my eye on the power outages, and as feared, we are still headed up the mountain. In fact, Forsyth has almost doubled in the last little bit. More than 9,600 power outages in Forsyth County alone, the second most of any county in all of North Carolina, more than 120,000 statewide. If you recall, less than 20 minutes ago, this figure was at 100,000. So that number has gone up by 20% in literally 20 minutes. And just wanted to remind people, you know, Duke Energy and all these other utilities, they want to get your electricity back on, but they've also got to keep their men and women safe. They will not put people up in those bucket trucks to replace any pieces of a line or a line as a whole if it's snapped in half or if something has fallen on it when the winds are 30 miles an hour or greater. So we really need that piece of this puzzle to die down before crews can start attacking these things en masse. Another thing that a colleague of mine reminded me of on her ride in, we've still got some Christmas trees that people have put out on the edge of their property. And in some cases, those trees are blowing out into the street, out into the road. That may be something where if that's you, you might want to bring that tree in, make sure that it's not causing a major problem. So that's where we are right now. We do have quite a bit of video being sent in and some pictures from all over the place. It's a similar story no matter where we look right now. No huge catastrophic damage that we are aware of at this time. That doesn't mean it might not change 5 minutes from now, but we are seeing some smaller trees down. We are seeing some side streets blocked off, and we are seeing a lot of neighborhoods and places that are prone to flash flooding and difficulty when there's a lot of rain in a short period of time. On a normal day, look pretty bad, if not really bad today. Obviously, we'll get the final totals here before long, but we're closing in, we're expecting anyway, the possibility for several inches of rain just today alone in several communities. And based on how hard it's been coming down, Michelle, I would imagine we are pretty close to that as we take another live look at satellite and radar. It's a minute after 3 o'clock here on Tuesday. We remain wall to wall here as we keep an eye on a very active weather day, a WXI 12 first warning weather day for sure. We had some tornado warnings in place earlier. That's what prompted us to come on the air not long ago, Dave. That was for Rockingham County, for parts of Stokes County, and a lot of our friends just over the border in Martinsville and some of the counties there in Virginia. Those have all expired, but we still have some concerns about tornadic activity, thunderstorms, and the wind. I guess if there's any silver lining here, it's that this thing is moving incredibly quickly. 60, 70 miles an hour for the speed?
That's right. Yeah, we've seen these the storms move pretty quick out there. In fact, I would say record speed if they were going for records out there. So you team that up with the storm winds themselves too, Kenny. So you've got the wind in the storm that the storm's created, and then the movement of the storm itself, and you really get some devastating winds out there. And hopefully there's not too much damage across the area. We'll have to assess that after a while. It's hard to do a lot of assessment when the rains and the heavy rains are still coming down. We do still have some severe thunderstorm warnings in effect until 3:15 3:15 for areas like Alamance County, also into areas of Guilford County, southeast Guilford County, western Chatham County until 3:15. Again, these storms moving 60, 70 miles per hour at times. Let me back off a little bit here and get my bearings. This line that's moving through portions of northeast Guilford County. You see this decent amount of red and heavy rains in here and some high winds too. Really dangerous if you're out on the roadways or you know somebody that has to be out on the roadways. Give them a buzz and say, hey, sit at work a little bit longer and wait for this stuff to move out of here. With some of these high winds and hopefully not too many of these trees falling down. Numerous amounts of flood advisories and some flood warnings across portions of the Piedmont with all the rains we've had just over the past 18 hours or so. So as we get on into northeastern parts of Alamance County, you're going to see some of this rain. It's really heavy in Altamaha right now, and all this line is going to continue to push on as we go through time over the next little while. So hopefully we'll start to see a lot of this activity clear out as we get on into the dinner time hour, maybe about 5 o'clock or so. We'll watch this line move through and hopefully we'll start to dry out a little bit later on tonight. I do have some good news, and that is tomorrow's looking a lot quieter, and we're excited about that. We'll come back, WXI 12 News at 4, 5, and 6 o'clock and keep you updated then.